Welcome to the Happiness Drive Success podcast, brought to you by Motivate Coaching, the multidiscipline practice for extraordinary people. Here, we discuss finding your happiness and how you can use it to drive your success. Please welcome your host, co-founder, CEO, and master of discovering happiness, Stuart Isham-Fairbairns.
Hello, my wonderful, fantastic friends. It's a beautiful day. How is it with you? It's been a while since I've launched a podcast episode, and whilst I know you will have all been missing me as I've missed you all greatly, this has been a time for me where I have in this last year really undertaken some very intense, I guess is a bit of an intense word, perhaps deep personal growth and development, and really getting to know myself, understand my motivations, understand my needs, my values, my beliefs. I've been officially studying, as well as studying in my own time. I've also been reading a lot of books, doing a lot of exercises, playing with a lot of tools, and then also just spending a lot of time sort of introspectively thinking. And there's one thing that I've spoken to you guys about in the past a lot, and this one thing has come up a lot for me over and over during this period. And it seems to me, and it seems to be, that this particular thing is pivotal in any growth and development, and it is technically the first step. But it's not the first step that we just take once and that's it done. It's just the first step, but it's a bit of a rinse and repeat. So this first step, what is it? I've built up your excitement and the anticipation. So the first step is noticing. Now, often when we hear these things, we can think, that makes sense, or yeah, done that, or ooh, that's interesting, or whatever the reaction may be. The reality is, it's actually so powerful and so deep and so strong and so important, as the word I used previously being pivotal, which I truly believe it to be. Now, why is it so pivotal? Well, everything starts with noticing. You want to lose weight. It starts with noticing your habits, your eating habits, your daily habits. I mean, ultimately, there's lots of sayings and things that we all know, we hear a lot, such as, the results that you are feeling today are as a result of your actions yesterday. And ultimately, if you look at your body, and obviously this is excluding any conditions that, that take choice away, but for the mass majority, let's say for example with weight or fitness and health, it is our choice. I chose not to go to the gym yesterday. I chose not to eat the broccoli. I ate the pizza. Or I chose to eat the broccoli and I chose to go to the gym yesterday. And it's not about noticing and beating up or noticing and celebrating. It's noticing just to look. It's if you imagine right now as you're listening to me, in your mind, if you picture zooming up into the sky and looking down on yourself right now, we as human beings have the ability to do that. And even if your mind doesn't work in visualizations, if you just think about your thoughts that you're thinking, pay attention to the thought. We as human beings are the only species on the planet that have the ability to do that. Called abstract thought. So animals in the animal kingdom don't have this same ability that we do. So with that ability, we can then really objectify what we're actually experiencing, what we could experience in the future. With a mixture of our minds, our brains and our imaginations, we can forecast the future, we can look back, we can grow and develop, and that's why human beings dominate the planet, because generation by generation we learn and grow and evolve and stronger and more. So that's the power of that. So on a many level for yourself, you can do that evolutionary phase for yourself. And it starts with noticing. When the Wright brothers were building the first aeroplane, it was noticing an opportunity, and then it was getting super curious about it. And that's step 2. Get super curious. But again, we've got to approach this without emotion, and that's not easy, because a lot of the time, the actions that we perform are tied to experience, some values, a belief, limiting belief, positive belief, negative belief, whatever it may be. So disassociating the emotion from it can be a bit of a challenge. So that's why we start with the very important first step of noticing and just looking. And notice what you notice, if you know what I mean. So if you get to that point and you notice that I did eat the pizza yesterday, and you feel the whatever response you feel, now notice that response. So if you notice that you have a desire to get fit and healthy, and yet you ate the pizza yesterday, what we want to do is be able to look at that objectively without judgment or otherwise. Chances are there will have been some emotive response due to your beliefs or due to your desires or your frustrations or whatever it may be. So rather look at that feeling, notice that. And to start with, all you do is just notice that it's there. For some people, you'll want to write it down. For others, it's just noticing it and keeping it in your head. For others, it's like myself, it's recording a voice journal and noting it down. And I then use the voice journals to get really curious about it. So when you start noticing, you just notice each time it comes up. And what happens is we begin to see patterns that are previously formed. And so much of the time, the behaviors that we perform, because we're not actually paying attention over periods of time, we're actually doing them over and over and over again. We just don't realize it. It's become habitual. But until we stop and we notice it, just in that moment, you start to see the pattern that's there. And effectively, what you're looking at from an objective perspective is a habit that you have. And it might be that you do it once a month. It might be that you do it every day. It might be once a week, whatever it is. But you start to notice the pattern. Then you can notice the associated feelings and emotions with it. And just sit with that. And what does that mean? When we stop and we look at something, the root focus or the root cause of it starts to become clearer to us. A picture starts to come together. That's that pattern. That's that habit. But it's where that habit roots from. And it's not that we now need to go back into our childhood and beat ourselves up because of this or that or point fingers at people. The purpose of this exercise is to get past this feeling, is to get past this point of being stuck, of being frustrated, of not understanding why you continuously pick up the pizza and don't just make the broccoli, which would take 10 minutes to steam. Or perhaps that's too harsh a comparison. I personally love broccoli, but some people might not. Have something else that's healthy, your goji berry muesli or whatever it might be. And you just notice. Once you've noticed for a while, and you do that being super kind to yourself, because this is not about judgment. Remember, the goal here is to understand this behavior to help you achieve what it is that you want on the other side of it. The reason why you prefer to change the behavior. Now, a big mistake lots of people make is the assumption that if I just slot something into my life that I know should make me feel better, should help in that area, what you'll more likely find yourself doing is just adding a lot more pressure, more potentially filling up more time, stress, thinning yourself out, and not moving forward. In fact, perhaps moving backwards. The reason why? Because you're not attending to the root cause of the issue. What you're effectively doing is just putting a blanket over the top of it, and you can't see it, it's obscured, but it's still there. That's saying putting a plaster on a broken leg. It doesn't fix the broken leg. It's just not, and it's not the right tool for the job. So whilst noticing might sound to some frou-frou out there, not going to work, I need a quicker fix, I need this, that. Personal development, personal growth is not quick fixes. It's not about that. You're looking to make 1 or 2 changes that change the whole of your life for the rest of your life. But it's going to be a consistent journey. So you're always looking for that thing that you can do to improve, to grow. And that's the wonderful, incredible opportunity that we have with the brains that we have, the bodies that we have. It's a consistent thing. And we can tailor it all to our preferences. It's our choice. It's not easy. None of this is. We've discussed many times. But it is very powerful. Simple, not easy, but powerful. And that is the key, my friend. So, to start with, start noticing. Just start noticing. And you could choose anything. One for me, that's been a big one, and I've talked about this in previous podcasts, is I have a person that I have come into interaction with, and I have a major reaction to that person. I just feel a huge bundle of emotions very quickly, and it's really hard because, like, if you look at the actual content of the communications, there's nothing wrong there, and it's taken me a very long time to not allow it to just go straight to that place, because I had created those pathways. I had created that habit that as soon as we went there, I just defaulted to this reaction, which I didn't enjoy. It didn't make me feel good. Anyone around me didn't enjoy, because I wasn't very pleasant to be around. And yes, I'm human, just like you. I too have these default settings. I have these things we put in, and you know, likely as it roots to something bigger and deeper in my life, and there are connections there. And I have another choice there to actually go deeper into it. If I wanted to, I could go and see a counsellor. I could, chat with someone who can help me unpick where it roots from. And that's another choice. But for the time being, I choose that I don't want to let it get to me. So I can't. It's not. Whilst affirmations help, affirmations are powerful as long as they're backed by a belief, or a growing, steady belief that they will help. If I just say to myself, I won't let it bother me, I won't let it bother me, it's going to help in the moment, but it's not going to fix the whole problem. So what I want to do is, prior to having that communication, I remind myself that I have the choice. I choose how I react. There's no one thing that can happen in this world that decides how I react. I decide how I react to anything. And this might sound crazy, but a car drives over your leg and breaks your leg. You choose how you react. That's why we all react differently. You might imagine there'd be a general sweeping reaction of what would happen, but you can mind over matter. You see people swimming around the ice caps up in the poles, and being able to do it. They've conditioned their bodies and minds to be able to do this. The point is, it's not that it's just a decision as in switch it on, okay, now I can withstand anything in the world. It takes practice, as with anything of these things. Again, as we were just discussing, personal development, mind, body, and emotion all takes time. But it's exciting because it is within your control. So what I do is I say to myself, I have the choice of how I react, because it's my reaction at the end of the day that I'm holding on to, and it's causing all of the feelings and everything. So I choose that. However, whilst that's going to help in the moment and smooth things over, it's not going to take it away altogether. So I notice. So what am I noticing? What am I feeling within myself when it comes up? And as I've gone through that process in this last, it's more intensely this last year, but certainly last couple of years, few years, I've really noticed that the feelings that come up in me, it's in reaction to tonality. It's in reaction to a lack of respect, a lack of mutual appreciation, a lack of, and I'd misinterpreted it over the years as my fault. I needed more pat on the back, or I needed to be told you're doing a great job, and that's what I thought it was. But by taking the time to stop and notice, I realized that I was trying to excuse it, and in doing so, blaming myself and making it so much worse. Now, don't get me wrong, it still is my fault because it's my reaction, but it's my choice how I react. and the choice that I'd chosen to react over the years, which was my default setting, if you will, air quotes, was to blame myself. What am I doing wrong? I'm being weak here. And it really, I have to be honest, it really broke me, a part of me, not broke me altogether, but it broke a part of me for a good couple of years. And it really hurt. It constantly was hurting in the background, heavy on my heart, and not pleasant. And it just really made me think that there must be so many people in the world who are going through life with heavy hearts for multiple different things. It could be in your fitness, it could be in your career, it could be in whatever area of your life. Something that's happened in the past, we've created a belief around it, and then therefore put it in that box, and we just kind of leave it alone. And we use that belief as an automatic response. But the reality is we can now change that belief, because that belief might be built on incorrect circumstances. It might be built on one experience. It would be nice to open up that box, wouldn't it? But the reality is there's lots of boxes. So in one area of your life to start with. So usually a good way to identify what box to look at is which one really is jabbing in your side. What thing keeps coming up? In what situation do you just find yourself feeling furious or lost or scared, but you just feel an extremity, or you think an extremity? So perhaps start there. So what's going on? Again, we've got to do this without judgment. It's going to be hard because that feeling is intense. That experience is intense. But again, we're going to zoom out. We're going to look at it from an aerial view and go, okay, just notice when it comes up. Just to start with, just notice. As you start noticing the pattern coming through, you can start just get curious about it. Again, there's no judgment here. There's no beating up. There's no decision making, no perspectives. It's just being curious and looking at it objectively. Imagine if it's easier that it was someone else you're looking at and you want to help them to understand it. So have a look at it. Get curious about it. Explore what's going on in your body. Where are you feeling it? What are you feeling? Is it hot? Is it cold? Where's the pain? Where's the happiness? Whatever it is. Just get really, really curious. And through that process, you can learn an enormous amount about yourself. Again, you can potentially find the root cause, or it could well be you just notice a couple of opposing thoughts. So one part of you is thinking, by doing this action, this is going to help me move forwards, and I really need to do this. And then potentially you could look at all of the things that you believe are holding you back, and they may well be in the same barrel in your psychology, but they're two separate thoughts. So they're opposing. I'll give you an example. I was chatting with my coach, and without sort of thinking about it, I was talking about for my business all of the sort of ins and outs of every day, needing to do all of these tasks, such as the social media, the podcast, the website updates, creating products and services, supporting people, coaching people. There's a lot going on, and then running my other business as well. So there was a lot going on, because I wanted to create an organizational system. That was our focus for the session, was how can I create a better clarity around my organization. And as we were discussing that, I was saying in my mind, when I try and picture it, there's lots of kind of what I would describe as static in between all the things that I need to do, and they're just kind of getting in the way. And then I said, the static really just kind of forms up all those daily tasks that I need to do, and just this light bulb went on. I had no idea that in my mind I was putting all of these tasks, which I know are really important to my business, which is the podcast, the social media, the etc., I was putting them in the same pot as this static, as I was calling it, which I was deeming unnecessary without thinking about it. So you've got two opposing forces. One part of me saying, this is what needs to be done to maintain, and the other part of me saying, this is static and it's in the way. So then what happens? Constantly a slog to do, because I'm having to do what I'm telling myself is not necessary, and thus it doesn't get done, or it gets pushed aside, or it's not consistent, or many things. But I think, again, this is really common. So it all starts with, yes, you guessed it, noticing. So just notice what's going on, and take on one thing at a time. Don't take on too much. Be kind to yourself, because the point is, if you take on one area of your life that is affecting you, and you notice it, and you then start to see that pattern. You look at the habits around it, the behaviors that you're performing that are potentially contributing to it. You get super curious about it, and you sort of go in there and look at where it's informed by, what it is. And then after that, step 3, which we've kind of covered, is choice. You get to choose. So notice what's going on. Get curious about it. Look at that habit. What behaviors are going on here? What feelings are you feeling? And then make the choice. You get to choose. You get to choose. How exciting is that? It's not easy, guys. Simple, not easy, but highly, highly effective. So I'm going through some serious self-development and growth, which I'm absolutely loving, and it's 100% my choice to do it. I have learned more in this last year especially than I think I have in the last 10, and I've done a lot in the last 10 years. It's extremely exciting. And what I have, interestingly enough, noticed is that through this entire process, noticing and just perfecting the skill of noticing without judgment. I'm a very visual person, so for me, shooting up into the sky above myself right now, as I'm on this hike out in the bush with Harlow, I can see myself looking down at myself. I can look at what I'm wearing in my mind, and I can see it because I know what I'm wearing because I put it on this morning. So I can look down and I can see myself walking exactly where I am. I can see the trees, I can see it going on, and it's just using my imagination. But by doing that, it allows me to actually look at me with all the movements I'm making with my hands and otherwise, and I go like, oh, I'm quite an expressive person, aren't I? As I'm talking, I've got my hands moving, and you know, it's like, this is such a beautiful place to be. I can remind myself how stunning it is to be here, and it's just almost like hitting the pause button in that moment, just for a moment, and taking in what's there, hearing the birds, the colours of the trees, like just noticing. Now I could just stay inside my head and carry on and just blast forwards, but just by noticing. Now, okay, that's the environment around me that I'm noticing. So now what's going on inside? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? When I think that thought, what do I feel? And just notice. That's it. And do this for 10 minutes. You don't need to do it for more than that. Just do it for 10 minutes. Notice. You can choose a specific situation and have a look at that, or just any random moment. Today when you go out to get a sandwich and a coffee, and just notice, or as you're walking down the street, switch your mind into that gear of noticing. The more and more you do it, the stronger the skill becomes, because it's one that you're going to use throughout your life, throughout this journey. And the better you get at it, the better you are able to get curious about what's going on and make that choice. How do I want to react in this situation? What would I like to feel? How can I get there? And if you're not quite sure how to get there, what would Bob do, good friend do, Tony Robbins do, what would anyone do, Viktor Frankl, someone that you respect, a family member, someone, what would they do? And just have a think about it. And you know what really helps you get there even further, faster, stronger? Coaching. That's why I'm coaching. That is why I am a coach, because I find this so fascinating, so freeing, because the power that we have as people is exponential. The freedom to choose. It's just spectacular. The object thought that you can use in your mind. You are an incredible, fascinating being. You truly, truly are. You as an individual and you as the species that you are part of. It's incredible, and it's your choice. And how cool is that? Ladies and gents, if you want to get some coaching, please come and join me. This is a subject I'm so passionate about, and I love helping people get there for themselves, exploring it. How can you live your life, free yourself, find that choice? You can get in touch with me on the website, which is www.motivate-coaching.com. You can email me, I'm Stuart at motivate-coaching.com. That's Stuart spelled S-T-U-A-R-T, which of course you know, of course. And please come and join the community on Facebook. If you search on Facebook for Join Your Happy Place, that's Join Your Happy Place, you can come straight in there and join a wonderful tribe of beautiful, happy people who are sharing, who are discussing topics, who are wanting to find exactly what we've discussed about in this podcast and help one another doing so. Peer-to-peer community of happiness and productivity. It's awesome. Come and get some clarity and focus. Ladies and gents, thank you so much for listening. It's great to be back. I will get back into the swing of doing the more regular podcasts now. I'm feeling motivated. Thank you so much for being here. You rock my world. Couldn't do this without you. Yeah, book a coaching session and we'll talk one-to-one very soon. Have a top banana day, folks.
Thanks so much for listening. If you're interested in learning more, go to the Motivate website at www.motivate-coaching.com. If you'd like to get in touch with Stuart directly, you can get him at Stuart, spelled S-T-U-A-R-T, at motivate-coaching.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and remember, your happiness drives your success. See you next time, folks.